Hey family, this is day 62 of our Reading Through the Bible Together in a Year series. Today we're covering Joshua, chapters 5 through 7. Now at the beginning of the book of Joshua, we have Joshua sending two spies into Jericho, and Rahab the harlot, or Rahab the prostitute, she saves them and makes a pact with them, a covenant. Says, I've saved you already. Please reciprocate and save me and my family when you attack. Because I've heard of all of the great deeds that Yahweh has done. We know that He is God, so please keep us safe. I love that story. I can't get enough of it. But then the next thing that happened was that Israel as a whole passes over the Jordan River. The priests with the Ark of the Covenant go into the river and stop the flow so that dry land appears, right? There's your creation imagery. There's your Exodus imagery. And Israel crosses over, which actually is funny enough. Hebrew, or the Hebrew word that we get Hebrew from, means crossed over, which is fascinating because Israel is the people that crosses over. That's why they're the Hebrews. I don't know the actual Hebrew pronunciation off the top of my head, but, side rant, that's what I do here. But today, Israel is on the other side of the Jordan River. They're on the side of the Canaanites, and they're about to hit up Jericho. So let's see what plays out today. When all the kings of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan westward, and all the kings of the Canaanites who were by the sea, heard how Yahweh had dried up the waters of the Jordan from before the children of Israel until we had crossed over, their heart melted, and there was no more spirit in them, because of the children of Israel. At that time Yahweh said to Yehoshua, Make flint knives, and circumcise again the sons of Israel the second time. Yehoshua made himself flint knives, and circumcised the sons of Israel at the hill of the foreskins. This is the reason Yehoshua circumcised them. All the people who came out of Egypt, who were males, even all the men of war, died in the wilderness along the way, after they came out of Egypt. For all the people who came out were circumcised, but all the people who were born in the wilderness along the way as they came out of Egypt had not been circumcised. For the children of Israel walked 40 years in the wilderness until all the nation, even the men of war who came out of Egypt, were consumed, because they didn't listen to Yahweh's voice. Yahweh swore to them that He wouldn't let them see the land which Yahweh swore to their fathers that He would give us, a land flowing with milk and honey. Their children, whom He raised up in their place, were circumcised by Yehoshua, for they were uncircumcised because they had not circumcised them on the way. When they were done circumcising the whole nation, they stayed in their places in the camp until they were healed. Yahweh said to Yehoshua, Today I have rolled away the reproach of Egypt from you. Therefore the name of that place was called Gilgal to this day. The children of Israel encamped in the Gilgal. They kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month at evening in the plains of Jericho. They ate unleavened cakes and parched grain of the produce of the land on the next day after the Passover, in the same day. The manna ceased on the next day, after they had eaten of the produce of the land. The children of Israel didn't have manna any more, but they ate of the fruit of the land of Canaan that year. When Yehoshua was by Jericho, he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a man stood in front of him with his sword drawn in his hand. Yehoshua went to him and said to him, Are you for us or for our enemies? He said, No, but I have come now as commander of Yahweh's army. Yehoshua fell on his face to the earth and worshipped and asked him, What does my Lord say to his servant? The prince of Yahweh's army said to Yehoshua, Take off your sandals, for the place on which you stand is holy. Yehoshua did so. Now Jericho was tightly shut up because of the children of Israel. No one went out, and no one came in. Yahweh said to Yehoshua, Behold, I have given Jericho into your hand, with its king and the mighty men of valor. All of your men of war shall march around the city, going around the city once. You shall do this 6 days. 7 priests shall bear the 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark. On the 7th day you shall march around the city 7 times, and the priests shall blow the trumpets. It shall be that when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, and when you hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout. Then the city wall will fall down flat, and the people shall go up, every man straight in front of him. Yehoshua the son of Nun called the priests and said to them, Take up the ark of this covenant, and let 7 priests bear 7 trumpets of ram's horns before Yahweh's ark. They said to the people, Advance, march around the city, and let the armed men pass on before Yahweh's ark. It was so that when Yehoshua had spoken to the people, the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns before Yahweh's advanced and blew the trumpets, and the ark of Yahweh's covenant followed them. The armed men went before the priests who blew the trumpets, and the ark went after them. The trumpets sounded as they went. Yehoshua commanded the people, saying, "You shall not shout, nor let your voice be heard, neither shall any word proceed out of your mouth until the day I tell you to shout. Then you shall shout." So he caused Yahweh's ark to go around the city, circling it once. Then they came into the camp and stayed in the camp. Yehoshua rose early in the morning, and the priests took up Yahweh's ark. The 7 priests, bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns in front of Yahweh's ark, went on continually and blew the trumpets. The armed men went in front of them. The rear guard came after Yahweh's ark. The trumpets sounded as they went. The second day they marched around the city once and returned into the camp. They did this 6 days. On the 7th day they rose early at the dawning of the day and marched around the city in the same way 7 times. On this day only they marched around the city 7 times. At the 7th time, when the priests blew the trumpets, Yehoshua said to the people, "Shout, for Yahweh has given you the city. The city shall be devoted, even it and all that is in it, to Yahweh. Only Rachav the prostitute shall live, she and all who are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers that we sent. But as for you, only keep yourselves from what is devoted to destruction, lest when you have devoted it, you take of the devoted thing. So you would make the camp of Israel accursed and troubled it. But all the silver, gold, and vessels of bronze and iron are holy to Yahweh. They shall come into Yahweh's treasury." So the people shouted, and the priests blew the trumpets. When the people heard the sound of the trumpet, the people shouted with a great shout, and the wall fell down flat, so that the people went up into the city, every man straight in front of him, and they took the city. They utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both man and woman, both young and old, both ox, sheep, and donkey, with the edge of the sword. Yehoshua said to the 2 men who had spied out the land, "Go into the prostitute's house, and bring the woman and all that she has out from there, as you swore to her." The young men who were spies went in and brought out Rachav with her father, her mother, her brothers, and all that she had. They also brought out all of her relatives, and they set them outside of the camp of Israel. They burned the city with fire and all that was in it. They only put the silver, the gold, and the vessels of bronze and of iron into the treasury of Yahweh's house. But Rachav the prostitute, her father's household, and all that she had, Yehoshua saved alive. She lives in the middle of Israel to this day, because she hid the messengers whom Yehoshua sent to spy out Jericho. Yehoshua commanded them with an oath at that time, saying, "Cursed is the man before Yahweh who rises up and builds this city Jericho. With the loss of his firstborn he will lay its foundation, and with the loss of his youngest son he will set up its gates." So Yahweh was with Yehoshua, and his fame was in all the land. But the children of Israel committed a trespass in the devoted things. For Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zavdi, the son of Zerah, of the tribe of Yehudah, took some of the devoted things. Therefore Yahweh's anger burned against the children of Israel. Yehoshua sent men from Jericho to Ai, which is beside Bet Aven, on the east side of Bethel, and spoke to them, saying, "Go up and spy out the land." The men went up and spied out Ai. They returned to Yehoshua and said to him, "Don't let all the people go up, but let about 2,000 or 3,000 men go up and strike Ai. Don't make all the people to toil there, for there are only a few of them." So about 3,000 men of the people went up there, and they fled before the men of Ai. The men of Ai struck about 30,000 men of them. They chased them from before the gate, even to Shevarim, and struck them at the descent. The hearts of the people melted and became like water. Yehoshua tore his clothes and fell to the earth on his face before Yahweh's ark until the evening, he and the elders of Israel, and they put dust on their heads. Yehoshua said, "Alas, Lord Yahweh, why have you brought this people over the Yarden at all, to deliver us into the hands of the Amorites, to cause us to perish? I wish that we had been content and lived beyond the Yarden. O Lord, what shall I say after Israel has turned their backs before their enemies? For the Canaanites and all the inhabitants of the land will hear of it and will surround us and cut off our name from the earth. What will you do for your great name?" Yahweh said to Yehoshua, "Get up. Why have you fallen on your face like that? Israel has sinned. Yes, they have even transgressed my covenant which I commanded them. Yes, they have even taken of some of the devoted things, and have also stolen and also deceived. They have even put it among their own stuff. Therefore the children of Israel can't stand before their enemies. They turn their backs before their enemies because they have become devoted for destruction. I will not be with you any more unless you destroy the devoted things from among you. Get up, sanctify the people, and say, Sanctify yourselves for tomorrow. For Yahweh, the God of Israel, says, There is a devoted thing among you, Israel. You cannot stand before your enemies until you take away the devoted thing from among you. In the morning, therefore, you shall be brought near by your tribes. It shall be that the tribe which Yahweh selects shall come near by families. The family which Yahweh selects shall come near by households. The household which Yahweh selects shall come near man by man. It shall be that he who is taken with the devoted thing shall be burned with fire, he and all that he has, because he has transgressed Yahweh's covenant, and because he has done a disgraceful thing in Israel. So Yehoshua rose up early in the morning and brought Israel near by their tribes. The tribe of Yehudah was selected. He brought near the family of Yehudah, and he selected the family of Zerahites. He brought near the family of the Zerahites, man by man, and Zavdi was selected. He brought near his household man by man, and Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zavdi, the son of Zerah, of the tribe of Yehudah, was selected. Yehoshua said to Achan, My son, please give glory to Yahweh, the God of Israel, and make confession to him. Tell me now what you have done. Don't hide it from me. Achan answered Yehoshua and said, I have truly sinned against Yahweh, the God of Israel, and this is what I have done. When I saw among the plunder a beautiful Babylonian robe, 200 shekels of silver, and a wedge of gold weighing 50 shekels, then I coveted them and took them. Behold, they are hidden in the ground in the middle of my tent, with the silver under it. So Yehoshua sent messengers, and they ran to the tent. Behold, it was hidden in his tent, with the silver under it. They took them from the middle of the tent, and brought them to Yehoshua and to all the children of Israel. They laid them down before Yahweh. Yehoshua and all Israel with him took Achan, the son of Zerah, the silver, the robe, the wedge of gold, his sons, his daughters, his cattle, his donkeys, his sheep, his tent, and all that he had, and they brought them up to the valley of Achor. Yehoshua said, Why have you troubled us? Yahweh will trouble you today. All Israel stoned him with stones, and they burned them with fire, and stoned them with stones. They raised over him a great heap of stones that remains to this day. Yahweh turned from the fierceness of his anger. Therefore the name of that place was called the Valley of Achor to this day. So there's always really difficult passages in the Old Testament that we have to sit with and we have to think about and we have to meditate over and we have to just live with. And this is one of them to me anyways. This is one of the hardest ones for me to understand is this whole business with Achan and the fact that when they go into the promised land, he steals some of the gold and the silver and the Babylonian robe that's supposed to be either given to the temple or devoted to destruction, and he takes it for himself and puts it in his own tent. And then God gets mad at all of Israel because of this and doesn't fight with them in Ai. And then when Joshua asks what happened, God's like, I won't be with you until this and these people are destroyed, right? And the way that it comes about is that Joshua asks Achan, confess because we know you did wrong. And Achan said, this is what I have done. And then Achan and all of his family and all of his stuff is like stoned and burned with fire. And it's just like graphically intense and just totally seems out of character with what we know of as a forgiving God. But I think we're looking, sometimes I look too much for the forgiving God in these stories, and because I want to put them in my context, I want to put them in my 2,000 years post-Jesus. You know, what did Jesus say about it, and how does my current society live in accordance with forgiveness and these types of things, and it doesn't always seem to connect. And this is one of the hardest ones to deal with for me. But the one thing that I always have to remember is that, one, this is a really ancient context. The people who would be understanding and writing this down at the time, they wouldn't have as big of issues with it as I would. And second, God is going out of his way to do a completely different thing, and he has said over and over again before this moment that what I tell you to destroy, you destroy. I need to get rid of these things, right? Don't keep anything for yourself. Do exactly what I tell you. This is important. And then the first place that Israel conquers, Jericho, in the Promised Land, this guy Achan, he's like, sure, I'll do what I want anyway. I'll take this Babylonian robe and I'll take this stuff and I'll hold it for myself. I mean, it's just like not compatible with the thing that God just said and has been saying over and over again. Like, there's a reason why God is wanting them to destroy everything, right? It's not just kill the one or two people that are being bad, or just kill the priests and all that. Like, no, God is wiping a culture out, because this culture to God is so evil and disgusting that there can't be any trace left. We forget that part. But with the whole Achan and his family, I mean, that's hard for us to think about. But in this context, all of the family is a lot more of an economic value than it is a personal relationship, sentimental value in this setting, right? Children are economic, wives are economic, oxen are economic. And so it's like cultural, it's economic. Achan is being wiped out. Like, the idea of Achan is being wiped out, just like the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Jebusites and all that. The idea of them is supposed to be wiped out. And so, like I said, it doesn't make it any easier. It doesn't make it super better or anything like that. But we always just have to remember over and over and over again, it's all about context, and don't ever take things out of context. One thing that you have to remember as most likely a Christian 2,000 years post-Jesus is that this Old Testament is not written to you today. It's written for everybody thousands of years ago to a specific audience, and you just have to keep it in that context to see what the real meaning and what the real history and what the real purpose was behind it, right? Once you start taking things out of context, you start putting together this God that doesn't fit. But if you keep it in its context, then all of it makes sense, and all of it has a trajectory and has a process. And it may not be an easy process to get through, but it is a process that we have to take as good. So I rambled a little bit there, but I think it's important to not just ignore passages that make us uncomfortable, but to really meditate on them and think about them and think, what is the context here, and what might I be missing, or what am I not missing, and it's just something I have to sit with. So keep that in mind. On a more positive note, let's back up a little bit. I like this right before Joshua deals with Jericho in chapter 5, I guess, at the end of 5. He comes across this man, and it's this dude dressed up in armor and battle with a sword and whatever. And Josh was like, hey, are you here to fight with us or for our enemies? He gives him two options, us or our enemies. And the guy says, no. He says, no, I am here as commander of Yahweh's army. And that's just a fascinating, compare it to your own life type of thing. You think, well, hey, God, are you for me or against me? And God's like, what are you talking about? I'm for myself. Are you for me or against me? We like to do that in our modern perspective and our Christian thinking and a lot of New Testament passages. Rightly so. You know, if God is for us, who can stand against us? Like, that's one of the things we think. But all the time, I think if our mindset is just stuck there, well, God is for me or God is against me, or are you for me or are you against me? The question should be flipped, because God is for God. God is for God's purpose. God is for what is best for humanity, and we can either be for or against that. And so that's something that I would like you to think about and meditate over, and maybe come up with some answers for yourself. How are you for or against God? Yeah, we'll leave it there. I hope you have a wonderful day.